Where Jackie is standing right now, come tomorrow, is going to be one very wet place.
Yeah, absolutely. And they'll get a lot of rain down there. D.C., southern New Jersey, northern Virginia, Pennsylvania. The worst of the damage, it looks like, in terms of storm surge and wind, New Jersey, New York City, Long Island, and Connecticut. And that, at this point, looks to be the worst. And New York City is in for a lot of trouble, I think. They could see a storm surge that would cause big problems in lower Manhattan especially. So it's not just here.
But not this
I think it's going to be hard for them to dodge this bullet.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, of course, but I don't know if they'll be able to do it. Let's show you the satellite loop. You can see here Sandy spinning around, gaining a little bit of strength. The pressure has been sort of holding steady, but it is stronger than it was last night at this time. Winds 75 miles per hour, is moving off to the northeast at 13 miles per hour. And here's what it's going to do. It's going to come up to the north and then hook off to the left. And exactly where that hook occurs will determine just how bad our weather is. But everything we're looking at right now indicates a landfall right about here in central or northern New Jersey with winds of about 80 miles per hour by Monday night. So we're going to be on the more dangerous side of the storm. So what do I mean by that? Well, here's the storm track moving in a direction similar to that. The heaviest rain down toward D.C. The strongest surge and the strongest winds will be to the right of the storm's track, which is typical with landfalling hurricanes here in the Northeast. So this will cause some big problems. And the problems with the wind and the storm surge will extend up the coast, up into central and northern New England, too. Here are our computer models. You can see they're coming into tight agreement. New York City down to about Atlantic City. So somewhere in this area, that's where it looks like the storm will hit. But remember, the impact from Sandy will be felt far from the center of the storm. So don't focus just on the center or just on the line. Huge impacts will spread out hundreds of miles from the exact landfall location. The big concern, as we've been talking about, storm surge Monday night especially, but even before that, midday Monday, the tide's going to get really high, and this would just be a devastating coastal flood event. So if you're asked to evacuate, you need to evacuate. You need to heed those evacuation orders. High wind watch in effect for the entire state. Winds at the peak Monday night, 60 to 80 miles per hour in gusts. Flood watch also in effect for the entire state, 1 to 3 inches of rain possible. So here's the track. This is our European computer model. It's been really hammering home this storm through the last couple days. Tracks up to the north, and then this is by Monday evening, making landfall near or just to the south of New York City. All right, for tonight, prepare now. Tonight's your time to prepare. Quiet weather, temperatures around 50 degrees. Tomorrow, planning your day, will be cloudy all day, maybe a shower as we head toward 5 o'clock. Otherwise, it will be a quiet day with a breeze picking up. So planning things out for your storm timetable, no issues through the day tomorrow. Prep's okay through about 5 o'clock. Then the weather goes downhill a bit. Sunday night, some coastal flooding, increasing winds and squalls. The coastal flooding Sunday night, relatively minor. Bigger coastal flooding by midday Monday, and then serious weather moves in Monday afternoon into Monday night. Hurricane conditions, destructive wind and surge, and even Tuesday, the winds will diminish, but still strong enough to down trees and power lines. And even the midday high tide cycle on Tuesday could still be problematic. Slow improvement Wednesday and Thursday, a bit breezy, but just a couple showers around. Then Friday and Saturday looking better. So here's the deal. Irene, we had one high tide that we were concerned about, and that was the Sunday morning high tide. It looks like we could have 4 or even 5 high tides that cause flooding on Long Island Sound. This is relatively unprecedented for a storm moving in this direction. Heed the evacuation orders. Prepare tonight or tomorrow.
Don't mess around. All right, thank you, sir. So you've been sending us a lot of your questions about the storm on our Facebook page, and Ryan is here to answer a couple of them.
Yes.
Shall we get started here?
Yeah, let's do it.
First, from Joanna Leach, she is asking, what is the prediction for the category strength by the time we get hit in south central Connecticut?
The hurricane will be hurricane strength. It will be stronger than Irene was. Looks like the landfall will be a little bit south of us, but we will be on the more dangerous side of the storm, so we're going to get hit really hard here.
We get all the wind and all that.
We get the wind and the storm surge. We probably won't get that much rain. We'll get a lot. We'll get 1 to 3 inches, but down toward D.C., they could pick up to a foot of rain. So they'll be on the wetter side of the storm.
Okay, next question. Gretchen Wolf asks, what is the timing for the worst conditions in central and northern Connecticut?
Well, really for the whole state, we can sort of pin down. You'll start to feel the effects during tomorrow night. We'll get a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind. It won't be too bad. But then once we go through the day on Monday, things start off sort of quiet in the morning, windy along the shoreline. The winds pick up all day. and by afternoon and especially evening, we have a hurricane outside with damaging winds and a destructive storm surge down along Long Island Sound. But here's the thing. This storm doesn't want to just move on out. It looks like it stalls over in Pennsylvania or New York. Okay. So we're going to have onshore winds continue through the day on Tuesday, and those could be strong enough to take down more trees and power lines. So this is a real long-duration event.
All right, so Monday night it's going to be knocking on our door.
Yeah,
here.
Monday night the worst for sure. Monday morning still getting worse through the day.
Okay, Joe wants to know, with the exception of higher than normal tides along the coast, will this affect rivers and streams inland?
Well, just like we saw during Irene, we had storm surge on Long Island Sound and some of the tidal rivers there and the estuaries.
Sure.
There was the storm surge flooding, and then inland there was enough rain, almost 10 inches of rain, that rivers like the Pequabic and Bristol came up and out of their banks. This storm, it looks like we will not see as much rain as we did during Irene. So yes, there could be some flooding, but I don't think it will be as widespread during Irene. So more minor inland flooding. Okay. The bigger story will be the storm surge.
Okay, last one. Bill Douglas wants to know, it doesn't appear to be a direct threat, or rather this is
Jennifer.
We're going to go to Bill here. This is Bill. This is the one we're looking for. Bill Douglas wants to know, is it still true that even though it's hitting south of here, we are still getting something worse than Irene?
Absolutely. The storm, it's important to not just focus on the center of the storm, because really the center of the storm, where the eye is, the winds will be a little more calm there. The winds get displaced far to the north of the center of a storm. Okay. And especially storms that come up to our latitude, they become all disjointed and sort of wobbly. The hurricane of 38 made landfall in New Haven, yet some of the strongest winds recorded were out toward Cape Cod. Right. So that's, what, 200 miles away from the center. Sure. So a central or northern New Jersey landfall is basically a worst-case scenario for us in terms of wind and storm surge.
All right, very good questions from our viewers.
Absolutely.
These are the kinds of questions we love it. Yeah. And it answers a lot of other people's questions out there as the storm comes. If you have a question, let us know. Head to our Facebook page. We're going to try to answer as many as we can over the next couple of days as this storm moves in.
Folks, this could be bad, really bad. It could impact us in several ways and for a long period of time. Please take this as seriously as we are taking it.
Tonight, Governor Malloy has issued a state of emergency for Connecticut as Hurricane Sandy continues its trek north. The monster storm is already forcing some shoreline towns to order mandatory evacuations, and the power companies are expecting at least half of the state to lose power. Hi, everybody. I'm Jeff Stecker, and we are on at 7 tonight with extended coverage of Hurricane Sandy. Al Roker's special about the Broadway show Annie will air after our newscast at 7:30. Here's a look at where the Category 1 hurricane is spinning tonight. It is off the coast of Florida and Georgia, packing winds of 80 miles per hour, and don't expect it to lose much steam as it heads closer to us. We have a team of reporters and meteorologists covering Sandy's movements. We begin with NBC Connecticut's Ryan Hanrahan in the Weather Center. Ryan, what's the latest?
Well, the trends today have been bad for us here in Connecticut, Jeff. Every computer model now indicates we are going to get a very significant hit from Hurricane Sandy. It will make landfall just to our south, and that will put us in the more dangerous side of the storm. So here's the storm spinning around on satellite. You can see, as we take a look, a beautiful storm structure, at least meteorologically speaking. Very, very impressive, and in fact, very unusual. What we basically have, if you were just watching nightly news, as Brian Norcross said, we pretty much have a hurricane inside of a nor'easter right now. Here's the tight core, tropical system, and then it's enveloped by this giant storm and a huge area of the jet stream that's just sort of spinning around, and this whole thing is moving off to the north and to the northeast, and believe it or not, it's actually going to strengthen before it gets to Connecticut. Most storms weaken. This storm won't. All right, currently winds 75 miles per hour. It's moving to the northeast at 13 miles per hour, moving to the east of the Outer Banks, and then it's going to hook off to the left. An extremely unusual direction. We've never seen a tropical storm or hurricane make landfall coming from this direction here in the northeast. Right before landfall, winds 80 miles per hour sustained as a hurricane. And that will be around 2 o'clock Monday, and then it makes actual landfall probably sometime Monday evening. Now, what's important to realize, even though the core, the center of the storm will track towards central and northern New Jersey, we will be on the more dangerous side of the hurricane. The strongest winds and the strongest surge are found to the right of the storm's track. That will be right over Connecticut, right over New York City and Long Island. The heaviest rain will be off to the south and west of us through the mid-Atlantic states. So now's the time to prepare. No weather issues tonight or tomorrow. Things go downhill before too long.
Sir, one last check on Sandy before we go.
Yeah, just got an update from the Weather Service. They updated their coastal flood and storm surge potential, and they've upped it from 4 to 8 feet to 5 to 10 feet of storm surge. And to put that in perspective, Irene was 4 to 5 feet across the sound.
So we're looking at double.
I mean, if that were to verify, it would be catastrophic. I mean, there's things that can change, and if we're lucky, we'll get the wind to shift, maybe go a little offshore. Maybe the storm takes a last-minute jog, but we have to prepare for a devastating coastal flood event. One of the biggest concerns.
Well, be sure to tune in tomorrow morning, starting at 5:30, for the very latest coverage of Hurricane Sandy. We'll see you then.